Good afternoon. So, welcome everyone. So, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Ask Mintos Anything session, and specifically Ask Mintos Anything session on Mintos becoming a regulated marketplace. Today with me, I'm Martins Sulte. I'm CEO and co-founder of Mintos. Today with me, you are gonna have on the call also Inese Lazdovska, our head of legal, Marcis Gogis, who is also head of product, and then Undis Neilands, who is our investor service lead. We're gonna do some introduction and go through kind of the main things through the slides. And then afterwards, we're basically gonna go through the questions which you guys and girls, our investors, you have submitted on Slido, and go through those most upvoted questions and shed more light on the regulation. So becoming regulated, it is a significant milestone for Mintos. So we've been working on this for quite some time. What it means is basically means that now we are fully regulated marketplace, which brings multiple benefits to investors. So there's quite a few of them. We're gonna mention them during the call, but some of the most important, perhaps for investors, is that the regulation going to bring increased transparency when it comes to information disclosure, and then it's also going to come with increased investor protection in many different forms. On the regulation, we've been working for many years, I would say, specifically on getting the investment firm license and the electronic money institution license, which we obtained last year and which we announced last week, which we announced last week. Both of them European licenses. On them, we've been working for almost 2 years. So that's been a very big effort and time and energy which went into getting those licenses, and we are obviously very excited about obtaining them. But of course, getting the license just means that we actually can start working in a fully regulated and well-established environment. A lot of people actually work on that. So from our side, so today we are a team of something like 160 people. We counted around like 80 people were directly involved in work on all the regulatory matters. And then the rest of the team actually was indirectly involved. So basically all of the team was working on this throughout the last at least 18 months, if not a bit more. It is obviously the transition plan which is ahead of us. So in the coming months, we're going to do a gradual transition from going from the investments in loans through the claim rights to investments in loans through financial instruments, which we call notes. So after this transition plan, so we're going to passport the license also across all the Europe, and basically we will be able to serve all investors in Europe. It is first and foremost, of course, about putting loans into well-established environment, regulated environment, and basically repackaging them in financial instruments and allowing investors to invest in financial instruments. But more than that, the licenses, both investment firm license, but also electronic money institution license, they're gonna allow us to offer additional investment products, investment opportunities. So we are working on the same ETFs. So that's something which we are also excited about to work on. And we will continue to add also other investment opportunities on the marketplace, which the investment firm license allows us to do. So we basically become a regulated broker, and we can offer all sorts of different financial instruments. And then electronic money institution license, that's going to allow us to basically provide complementary services such as the same IBAN account, the same Mintos card, which is now put on hold, but that is something which we have in the roadmap. So those two licenses actually going to allow us to build a full spectrum of services to service retail investors, and all of it actually with our basically vision is to build the go-to marketplace for retail investors in Europe who are actually looking to build wealth in the long term. So it is exciting times for us, been quite a while in making, and we are very happy to share more about that. So I will go. I will give floor to Inese, and she will cover some of the legal matters and some of the technicalities of us getting the license.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Inese. I'm truly happy and grateful to be here. Me being here is indeed a result of relentless work of the whole Mintos team for a couple of years, not only months. It's indeed years. It all started out, I'd say, with a key decision on which licenses Mintos needs, which it needs to do what it wants to. Martin shared already what it is that Mintos is pursuing, what are the growth plans, what we want to be. And we took all that into account, and in particular our customers, our product, and all those growth plans to identify what is the regulated setup we want to be in. We knew that we want to be a regulated marketplace, given that it adds value, first of all, to our customers. It provides customers with exposure to additional protection mechanisms, additional security, so to say. And from business perspective, being a regulated marketplace and having a license that's passportable, simply put, allows to scale business across Europe. So it all started with a decision to go for the licenses, and then it was a continuous and relentless work to get to the point where we got last week when we got the licenses. And we were able to announce that to you, our customers, and to introduce a number of changes. Number of things have been happening during this period in the background. Not only we have been working on the documentation and with the regulator on the very licenses, but we have been working on already introducing changes to some of the ways of things that we do in order to work as a regulated marketplace, to work as an investment firm. Number of those changes you haven't seen, number you have already. So you've seen us introducing the verification and asking you to complete that on the platform, to complete the AML and KYC questionnaires that were upgraded during the past periods. You've seen us introducing the suitability and appropriateness and asking you a number of questions in order us to be able to launch that at one point. You've seen us introducing the client categories, and most of you, well, I'd say all of you, are retail customers. That is our key customer base. So a number of things have been already visible to the investors, number have not, and stayed in the background. So now that we have the licenses obtained, some of the few things will still happen, and you will see their impact on you as our customers. A number of things will still remain in the background, and we will continue doing them without you noticing a thing. One of the key milestones that we will also be doing as a regulated entity will be the passporting, but that's more or less kind of at the end of the road, at the end of this year, when we will finish the transition period. One of the most visible things that was there last week were changes to our content on the platform. Seems that nothing changed, but on the other hand, number of things changed. We worked on being ready for the 19th of August. We worked on that for a couple of months. Number of teams were involved for us to be able, in a matter of few minutes, to be able to launch new content, to upload new terms and conditions for you, our customers, to introduce new onboarding flow. So a number of things already happened, and the new terms and conditions will start to apply within a month on the 19th of September. When that happens, then we also will be ready to start launching the notes. When we start offering the notes, then our customers, you will start seeing the suitability and appropriateness tests being applied. And the next steps actually from kind of legal and regulatory perspective are quite simple. So we, at one point, we will stop offering new assignments for loans. We will transform all the lending companies into offering the notes on Mintos platform, and then we kick off the passporting. So it seems nothing changes, but at the end of the day, we hope that things will will be very interesting, and you will see number of good changes in the product that we offer. And on this note, I'm happy to hand over the mic to our head of product, to Marcis, to share you more about notes and all the product side of things. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marcis. I'm head of product in Mintos, and I'm very happy to share some insights how regulation will affect our product and investor experience. First thing I wanted to touch is that initially our goal was to have as minimal impact as possible for our investor experience. And actually, when you will start to use notes, you will see that not very much has changed, and you will have quite similar experience, but instead of loans, you will have notes. Second, I wanted to touch a bit our plans for the future, as Martin already said. So this license opens us new opportunities. We will be able definitely to provide more tailored investment experience for everyone based on suitability and appropriateness assessment. So basically, based on specific investor needs, we will be ready to provide tailored investment strategy experience that you can easily select and make investments in long term. And another thing which is also very exciting for me and for product team is that based on this license, we are able to introduce new investment asset class and become a go-to marketplace if one is thinking about investments. So yeah, exciting times ahead. Now I wanted to use this time and explain more what actually is a note, what are the changes, and there will definitely be more detailed communication in our channels in the upcoming days, so please stay in touch. And meanwhile, so I will try to answer on some similar questions. So let's start. What is a note? So yeah, a note is a financial instrument. It has its ISIN number. It consists of several loans. So by default, investors will have additional diversification layer. So making investment in note, you actually have several loans behind that. So you are already diversified across multiple loans. Repayments for the note are tied with the schedules of underlying loans. What does it mean? It means when the borrower is paying for the loan, it triggers repayment of the note. So also works quite simple. Then how those notes are made. A note will consist of several loans starting from 6 up to 20. Usually it will be something around 10. This depends on some loan type specifics. So for example, if we take large ticket mortgage loans, then of course it makes sense to have less loans per one note. And if the loan type is a smaller amount customer loans, then of course there could be more loans per one note. But like I said, usually it would be around 10. And many of you probably have a question, how do we select which loans we include in a note? Is it some kind of random action or some logic behind? So yeah, I can tell you that this process is fully automated on our system. So we have built algorithms and controls that those pools will be created based on similar criteria for the loans. It means that to create a note, we need to have loans that are issued by the same lending company from the same country, having the same loan type. Also, the interest rate should be equal, and then also term and amount ranges also should be the same. So basically, it means that we cannot pull together loans that are, for example, 1 month long with loans that are for 5 years, or similarly with some kind of amount range that it's not possible to add 100 euro loan together with 10,000 euros loan. From investor side, actually, to select those notes, it should be similar experience like it is with loans. So you can use same filters. And if you're interested to invest, for example, in car loans from Georgia starting from 9%, then you just go to filter section or to custom automated strategy settings, and you just select country Georgia, loan type car loans, and put the interest rate slider starting from 9%. So, and that's it. So you will select those loans that you are interested in. When investing in loans, investors previously had assignment agreements. So for notes, there will be 2 very important documents you can review and see. When we will launch that, it will be prospectus and final terms. So please review them, and there will be all the information that you need to know about investing in notes. And the last thing what I wanted to mention is that lending companies will continue to provide buyback obligations, so also nothing much change here. And that's it from my side, what I wanted to explain more about notes, and I'm happy to pass mic to my colleague Undis.
Thank you. As Marcis said, my name is Undis. I'm leading Investor Service. And at Investor Service, we are basically the ones providing answers to your questions, dear investors. So first of all, I would like to use the opportunity to thank you, those who actually participated in our investor sentiment survey about Mintos becoming regulated. And I'm super thrilled to share with you that actually 83% of the investors who participated find the fact that we have become regulated as an important milestone. And I also would want to stress out three most important aspects for the investors, how you see it. So first is added security. So basically having access to a compensation scheme that safeguards up to 20,000 euros per investor in case if Mintos defaults. Then the next one is regulatory oversight, that Mintos is going to be, or basically is already regulated by Financial Capital Market Commission. And the third thing is stability and credibility. So basically this means that investors will be able to invest in financial instruments called notes with a known offer structure. And the second thing what I would want to actually share with you, so this is more like as a reminder. So as Mintos becomes regulated, there are additional requirements that must be completed, as also previously in the presentation Inese mentioned. So basically, for those investors who haven't fulfilled any of the steps, logging into your Mintos profile, on the top of the page, there will be a blue banner. By clicking on the banner, a new page will open and it will show all the necessary requirements or the steps that need to be taken. And if the step has been already taken, so there will be a green tick, so that is done. And if something is still missing, there will be also explanation, and it will show with a red cross that needs to be filled. So this is what I wanted to share also with you. And now it is time also to move forward to the Slido questions. We are going to answer all the questions that are related to Mintos becoming regulated. We also saw that you, dear investors, ask us other questions about different topics. So these questions we also won't be ignoring, but we are going to answer them in our community. So I'm passing mic back to Inese. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Undis. Yes, and indeed, very interesting questions. Happy to address them, and hope the answers will be helpful and of interest. The first question is about the reporting under the CRS framework, which is a common reporting standard which is applied by the financial institutions. The answer is yes, we will do the reporting. We will do the first reporting next year in July with regard to the account balances of the end of this year. And we will use, as all the financial institutions, the tax residency country as the basis for us to do the reporting. As you may know, then the reporting takes place to the local tax authority in Latvia, and then the information exchange happens then on tax authority level further. The next question is whether the new regulated status will have a positive impact on the default aspects, on the default risk of lending companies and recoveries. A very good question, very relevant. And I would say that the answer is yes, it should be yes. We should expect to see a positive impact. Why so? First of all, because not only have we been working on receiving the licenses and being ready to start working in a regulated setup, but we have also for a while now invested in improving and strengthening, better to say, our recovery practice, our team that works on recovery matters and restructurings. We handle those in a professional and structured manner, and we are committed to doing that going forward. We are committed to have a strong workout and recoveries function within Mintos. We are also continuously improving our risk management practices and also the transactional setups with the lending companies. And we are looking for ways to mitigate the risks of lending companies defaulting and improving the recovery prospects. So the answer is yes, we do expect that all our efforts that we take in this area will result in a positive impact. And let's see. The next question is also related to the same topic about the security and whether the notes will be a safer structure. Again, a very interesting question. We've been working on the notes as a product for a while now, from both the product side of things that the investors will see, as well as from the setup with the lending companies, the transactional setup. And first of all, I would like to say that throughout all this journey of developing this product, we definitely have not been taking more relaxed approach in transactional setup with the lending companies. That's first to say. We have developed a transactional setup that I dare say is safer in a sense for the investors. Why so? The key peculiarity to mention is that the very nature of the notes setup is such that no longer many investors are the, so to say, creditors against the lending company and direct creditors of number of borrowers. But it is just one legal entity. It is the issuer who will acquire all the loan receivables, will hold title over them, and should things go south, then this one legal entity can take action. Why that improves things? It's a legal aspect to that, because it's simply put to coordinate action of one legal entity and to sort out the legal paperwork regarding the enforcements is definitely way more faster process, way more leaner process. So should we have to enforce our rights, we see that we have all bases covered from that perspective. Also, one thing to mention is that a new participant in the cooperation with our investors will be the issuers. So the notes will be issued by special purpose vehicles, which will be controlled by Mintos. Those special purpose vehicles will be set up for the pure reason to issue the notes and to be the legal entity to service the notes, meaning the fund flows to the note holders during the life cycle of the notes. Those legal entities will not engage in any additional activity. They will be set up as special purpose vehicles for the notes. Why that adds a security for investors? Well, we do aim to ensure that it will not permit any other third parties, creditors, to intervene in the process and to intervene with the process of distributions to the investors, to the note holders. So we have taken steps to improve the things and make things safer. The next question, the fourth one, is about the guarantee fund, and to be exact, it's about the investor compensation scheme that was already mentioned by Undis earlier. We understand that it is significant and it matters for the investors, and we are glad that the safety and security that comes with us being regulated matters. It matters for us, and we're glad to see that it is significant for the investors as well. I would like to start by saying that even though this compensation scheme is a good added value, at the same time, the greatest security that comes to the investors comes with the safeguarding of the funds and assets that we hold on behalf of the investors. Having the license allows us to safeguard those funds and rely that should something happen to Mintos, that the client's assets and client's funds are separate from the balance sheet of Mintos, and that they will be available for distributions should something happen. That is the key and the utmost of an utmost importance security matter for the investors that comes along with being regulated. The investor compensation scheme works in such a way that should really the platform, the investment firm to be exact, it applies to all investment firms. Should the investment firm default, then should something be wrong with the safeguarding of funds, should it not be possible to distribute the assets, the monies and the financial instruments held by the investment firm to its clients, then the compensation scheme can be addressed. Given that we are a regulated entity, and not only that we will take steps to safeguard the funds, but that we will be also supervised by our regulatory authority to do that according to law, then we would fairly say that this deposit compensation scheme most likely we will never see to work in practice. However, yes, it applies. One additional thing to mention to avoid any confusion is that it does not cover the risk of the very investment. Should the borrower not repay, should the lending company not honor its obligations, it would not apply. It applies really to default of investment firms. Then the last question on my list to address is about operational costs and how those are affected by us being regulated. Compliance comes with a cost, that's for sure, and the question is a very good one in that sense. But we have been bearing increased cost on compliance already for a while now. Mintos has been strengthening number of teams, number of practices, has been working on improving number of things on the IT side of the things to ensure safety for the customers, to ensure such practices that we believe are necessary to provide our services more safely. We've been investing in that already for a while. And us having received the licenses and having become the investment firm and having received the electronic money institution license will not result in a spike of operational costs. We have had those costs of getting ready for the licenses, and we will simply continue doing that going forward. And even though compliance comes with a cost, we do believe that the benefits outweigh the downside. The key benefit being that it provides an opportunity to achieve economies of scale, and through passporting, we are confident we will do that. So I think that was it on the question list for me, and I'm happy to pass on to the next one.
Thanks, Inese. So I'm taking over the questions you upvoted that are more product related, and ready to start with the first one. So the first question is about what changes investors can expect until the end of the year. So yeah, as you already previously heard from Inese, from Martins, so currently we're focusing on transition plan, and of course there are a lot of tasks under the hood that will be not visible, but from the changes that will be visible to investors and what investors can expect is the first thing is that suitability and appropriateness test results start to apply. It means that for some investors, some type of investments might not be suitable. What I would like to add here is that these test results can be reviewed anytime from investor if the situation changes. This test is available from the profile settings, so if you are not sure what you have answered on the questions, you can go and check there anytime and also update if your situation has changed. The next thing, what will change, obviously, will be that we will gradually transfer all lending companies that currently offer loans to notes setup. So basically, at the end of this process, investors will see only notes in our platform. And the third thing, which is also something I want to emphasize, is that from the moment when notes are launched, then of course this investor protection mechanism starts to take in place. So other than that, that's it. And from the investor experience, everything else will stay the same. So then the next question is about other assets that we plan to onboard besides ETF. So here I want to start with ETFs. Yes, it's not secret anymore. So we have already started to work on ETFs. And here I would like to use this chance to say huge thanks to those investors who provided feedback and applied also for prototype testing. So very valuable feedback. And together with you, I think we are building new great products that we hope to offer in the nearest future. And besides ETFs, of course, we are also considering to add other asset classes as well. But currently, I would say it's too early to mention specific types and estimates. So we are focusing now on transition plan and in parallel working on ETFs. So these will be the first things that you will see. And stay in touch. And I think you will be the first one when we will introduce our plans about new offering in the future. Yeah. Let's go to the next one. So the next question is about cryptocurrency and crypto loans, how we evaluate this. Do we plan that in the future? So the answer is no, that's currently not in our pipeline. We are focusing on investment types that are generating value in long term. So at least for the nearest future, that's our North Star where we are leading, and cryptocurrency type of products are not included yet. But also if something changes, you will definitely be the first ones who we will inform. The next question is about some technical issues and bugs in our platform and user experience. Here, yeah, I would like to start to answer this question that this is continuous process. We are doing that for all the time. It's not like at some moment our platform is ready and then we do some fixing and then the process ends. So I can say that our system will never be 100% ready. And why it's so? It's because our business is growing and the environment where we are working is changing, and all the time we need to adapt our technologies, and we are investing a lot in our engineering teams. Some examples what I can mention that currently we are investing a lot in quality assurance. So by that I mean that we are increasing coverage of automated tests. Also we are scaling our systems architecture, and there are very good first results already, and we are continuing to do that. So that's more from the technical side what I can address on that question. Then about user experience part, it is more simple to answer here. I also would like to say huge thanks for everyone who shared his feedback and participate in surveys, community, prototype testing, usability tests, and so on. That really helps us a lot to build better product and improve things. Here, sometimes we need to be realistic. We have lots of investors and also opinions are different. So for example, the same example about icons. So one person better likes small icons, one likes larger, third one doesn't like icons at all. So here, sometimes we are not able to fulfill every request we received. And that's why what we are doing, we rely a lot on data. So basically, if the data shows that majority of investors are good with that, and that's not issues, then sometimes we don't change something if a minor part or some individual asks something. But here again, I would like to encourage everyone to share the feedback. Last year we launched Mintos community. Please go there about ideas so we can see what are the top things you are really interested in and what you would expect in our platform, or some things that really disturbs you and you think we should fix that. Go there, upvote, and we will see that, and we will definitely include that in our future roadmaps or when we were touching some specific part of the system. So please do that. Yeah, and then the next question would be about secondary market fees. Do we plan to remove them in the future? Here the answer is short. No, we're not planning to do any changes in the nearest future. So the current setup stays for a while. And I think I had already on my last question. The last question is about credit cards. Are they still on hold? Yes, they are still on hold. Maybe then I can answer why they are on hold. So we did some extensive research on our side and decided that this is actually not the right moment to introduce them. Why so? Because it's spending space, and we see that we need to have more users who would be ready to use this product. It's definitely not that we have decided that we will not introduce them, but like I said, it's not the right time. Meanwhile, we see that there is still huge opportunities that we can improve and provide additionally to our customers in investing space. That's our current focus. In parallel, if we touch the spending area, we are still working and planning to launch our IBAN accounts next year. See how it goes. We will receive definitely first feedback from you, and then from that moment, then we also will understand at what moment it makes sense for us, and of course also for you investors to introduce Mintos cards. So that's somewhere in the future, but currently on hold. So yeah, I hope I answer everything what you expected, and Undis is the next one, and he will take care of next section.
Yes, thank you. We'll be happy to answer also questions asked to me. So the first question is investor is asking, so what happens if investor does not agree with the new requirements? So basically, if an investor does not agree with the requirements, it means investor is disagreeing with our terms and conditions of the platform. And in this way, it means that we cannot continue cooperation, unfortunately. In such a cases, investor's account gets limited, and the investor is not able anymore to place any new investments or withdraw funds. So basically, all the investments, so all the funds that are received back from the lending companies periodically will be transferred back to the investor's specified bank account. Okay, so then the next question is about additional services to the larger investors. So first of all, I will share actually the existing program. So basically, we are running Mintos Investors Club. So in Mintos Investors Club, there are investors that are investing 50,000 euros or more. And basically, some of the benefits are personal account manager, fastest access to upcoming products, and custom reports. And basically, to also answer actually your question about additional services, so when conditions are going to be more favorable for the group gatherings, we will start also organizing investor meetups with interesting speakers and agenda to provide a venue for investors to exchange their investing experience as well. So this is also in our plan for the future for larger investors. Then the next question is about interest rates. So and what is going to actually happen with them in the future. So here we need to look at two aspects. So first of all, actually, what is happening globally, and the second aspect is actually what's happening in Mintos marketplace. So the first of all, like if you're looking globally, so we need to also look. What is possible what are the returns possible to make in investing in other asset classes? Another thing is also how expensive is financing for lending companies elsewhere. And so basically, these are kind of global aspects that are driving the interest rates like in the economy. And then if you're looking at Mintos itself, so what we have noticed and over the time is that interest rates in Mintos platform are mainly driven by the supply and demand. So basically, when the supply is high and the demand is not catching up, then the interest rates might go up. and also vice versa. When the loan supply is lower and the demand is high, then interest rates might go down. So these are the aspects that are influencing the interest rates. So, and I would say it very much depends from several aspects to actually predict what is going to happen with the interest rates in the future. Okay, let's go then further to the next question. So the next question is about node setup. So about nodes, Martis already covered today earlier, and we are also going to share more information to the investors in upcoming days about the node setup. And the last question in my agenda is, so basically the last question is about, basically investments are increasing, and how are we planning to follow up with the new supply? So basically the answer is quite simple, by adding additional loan supply. And I'm also super happy to say that in the past weeks we have launched actually 8 new lending companies, and more information about each lending company that we have launched is also available at our blog. So I hope that I have also answered all your questions. Yeah, then I'm passing the mic to the next person, Martins, who also will answer your questions. Thank you.
Yes, so one of the questions which perhaps didn't fit neatly was a previous kind of topics which we had covered is about, in fact, it is, at least I assume that is about when we talk about company debts, and those basically are bonds. So a lot of lending companies, obviously on Mintos, also do use other funding sources, and some of them use also bonds which they issue. And for sure, our basically investment firm license allows you to offer different types of financial instruments, including bonds. So basically, as a regulated broker, we can offer all sorts of different financial instruments. This is something which we definitely have our eye on, but as Marcis already shared, so it's basically for us, the key now is to actually focus on transition plan and really to transition from the current setup, how investors are investing in loans, to the new setup where it's going to be through the financial instruments and investing in loans. And that is our kind of key focus. And basically loans is our specialty, if you will. So we're gonna focus on that, and then afterwards ETFs, and after we have done those, and well, in parallel most likely. So obviously we also do look at the other assets, but at this moment, so these are kind of the focus areas for us. So that's on this one. So I guess we still have time. So I think we can hang around for a few minutes still, and if there are any live questions, we are super happy to take those live questions. So let's see if we have any. And I think we see there was a question from Josh about will borrower repayments be kept in escrow account to ensure better recoverability in case of loan originator default. So I think Inese, you can maybe touch on this one. So in general, I can conceptually, basically what we've done, irrespective of regulation, so actually in the same like Mexico, so we now have a setup when there is trust structure. So all the borrower repayments actually do go to this trust structure, which means they are in a way escrow accounts, and they obviously would help in case the lending company goes out of business and there's no servicer who is servicing the loans, and basically makes the life easier from the legal perspective. So those are good structures, and it would be great to have them in all the countries, but what we have to take into account that all of those structures do add to the cost structure. So that basically at the end of the day means that the more structures there are, the less there are kind of fees involved, and at the end of the day, well, these are basically would result in the safer the setup, the kind of less basically risk there is, the less return. So that the more structures are in place, basically that would go hand in hand with kind of lower returns for investors. Having said that, so definitely we are working on this, and that also it's also from the volume or the size perspective, it makes sense. So we actually do work on those, and Mexico is one of those. Ines, maybe you have something to add?
Yeah, you very rightly pointed out the Mexico case. Indeed, we look for ways how to implement the escrow structures where possible. Not always it is indeed practical and reasonable to introduce them. But yes, that's one of the things we as well would like to see in more and more cooperation structures. And we will see where else we can achieve that. Us having the Mintos payments as one of the business lines will also be something that we will consider using for that purpose, but that's something to talk about in the future.
Then I see there's another question from the live audience. So the question is about what will happen with the loan originators who have opened their own platforms. Will the license change their mind? It's too early to say. I think we've been focusing on what we are doing, and building the platform and becoming fully regulated. And I think we are the first one actually to be the fully regulated marketplace. We do know that there are perhaps some other platforms also, loan originators working on that. So let's see how it goes. Will they still own their own platforms? Hard to say. So I think at the end of the day, it is a matter of size. So as also Ines mentioned previously, so regulation does come with extra, not only direct costs, but also obviously indirect costs. So having all the kind of people in place, having the kind of regulator oversight, that obviously comes at cost. And then I think for those single loan originator platforms, and it is a question for every one of them more so than for us, but I think it becomes increasingly difficult, and kind of in many cases I would say it doesn't make sense to kind of build their own platform, but that's up to the loan originators to kind of decide what fits with their business plan or not. Then there is a question from Joseph about that it sounds that that we are expecting to lose retail investors and loan originators during this process of becoming regulated. And where do we see the future business upside for Mintos? I would definitely not say that we expect to lose retail investors. Yes, sure, or loan originators for that sake. Sure, there's going to be investors, for instance, who are actually through the filling a suitability and assessment test, it's going to become clear that loans is perhaps not the asset for their current situation. So they would perhaps would be advised not to invest in loans, and that is a whole kind of idea behind the regulation, is to protect investors, and having such things as suitability and assessment actually helps the investors themselves to kind of be more clear what suits them and maybe what doesn't suit them. Loan originators, we don't see that any of them we would expect to lose. So short answer is we actually don't expect to lose any, or like many retail investors or owners. Some here and there perhaps, but we actually on the quite contrary, we see a huge upside with us being fully regulated, which means and that we can in a very certain regulatory, we can work in a very certain regulatory environment, very well established regulatory environment. So investment firms has been around for obviously quite a while, and we will be able to serve the investors better than before. So, and in more countries as well. So there are some countries where there's just so high regulatory uncertainty that we are not operating in them. So that's definitely going to change. And I would say we, if anything, it is quite the contrary, that because of us becoming regulated and working in a fully regulated setup, actually we do see that there's a huge upside for Mintos, but more so actually it is a huge opportunity for us to work on providing the investment experience for retail investors in Europe who actually would wants to invest in long term and build their wealth long term and invest in assets which are generating income. So the investment firm license and also electronic money institution license, both European licenses, will definitely help us to basically work on this basically vision of ours. Yeah, I think we can still hang around for a minute or so and see if there are any live questions pop up. So if you do have, then definitely ask them in the comments, and happy to provide answers. Yes, there is a question about the ETFs. So the timeline, it is perhaps early next year or the first half of next year when we would see ETFs go live. It is still obviously work in progress. So first and foremost, we are now focusing on the finishing the transition plan, passporting the license, and then only then we would kind of look for the ETFs. But that's been in progress for a while already. And as Marcis said, we have been involved already and got very valuable feedback from you, dear investors. So we will basically look to launch them as soon as possible after we basically finish the transition plan and we also passport the license. Yeah, well, I think that's it for today. There's no more live questions. Indeed, thanks for joining. And it is a significant milestone for us, and we will do our best to basically make the transition as seamless as possible. And then at the end of the day, to provide the service which is in a fully regulated setup in a very well-established kind of environment, which then should basically all benefit investors and come with multiple benefits for investors. Having said that, thanks again for joining, and that will conclude the webinar today. Thank you.